Dhari Yashodanandana Rajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Rajajana Ranjana Jamuna Dhiro Chari Yamuna Dhiro Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Malava Girivada Dari Gopi Jana Malava Girivada Dari Yasodanandana Prajajana Ranjana Yasodanandana Prajajana Ranjana Jamuna Dhiro Vanachari Jamuna Dhiro Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Easy. Om Agana Timirandasya Gananjana Salakaya Chakshun Militam Jena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupagada Mayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Parakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Ragana Tanvitan Tang Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Harijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakanvitam Scha He Krishna Koruna Sindha Dinabando Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakapatrubhascha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naramachaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudidayet Nashta Presho Badreshu Nityam Bhagavad Shevaya Bhagavad Uttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naistiki. So here we are, Thursday, January 18th, 2024. Actually, would have been the 92nd birthday of my father had he lived long enough, but he did not. And we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th Canto, Creation of the Fourth Order, Chapter 21, Instructions by Maharaj Prithu. Text number 1. Maitreya Uvacha Mauktika Ekshuma Shragbir. Try it again. Muktikai Kushuma Shragbir Dukulai Swarna Todanai Mahasura Bibhir Dhupair Manditam Tatra Tatravai Muktikai Kusuma Shragbir Dukulai Swarna Todanai Mahasura Bibhir Dhupair Manditam Tatra Tatravai Muktikai Kusuma Shragbir Dukulai Swarna Todanai Mahasura Bibhir Dhupair Manditam Tatra Tatravai.
Muktikai Kusuma Shragbir
Muktikai Kusuma Shragbir Dukulai Swarna Todanai Mahasura Bibhir Dhupair Manditam Tatra Tatravai. Muktikai Sushuma Shragbir Dukulai Swarna Todanai Mahasura Bibhir Dhupair Manditam Tatra Tatravai. Muktikai Kushuma Shragbir Dukulai Swarna Todanai Mahasura Bibhir Dhupair Manditam Tatra Tatravai. Anyone else? All right, the synonyms. Maitreya Uvacha. The great sage Maitreya continued to speak. Mauktikai, with pearls. Kusuma, of flowers. Sragbihi, with garlands. Kulahai, cloth. Swarna, golden. Toranahai, by gates. Mahasura Bhibi, highly perfumed. Dupai, by incense. Manditam, decorated. Tatra Tatra, here and there. Vai, certainly. Translation by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The great sage Maitreya told Vidura, when the king entered his city, it was very beautifully decorated to receive him with pearls, flower garlands, beautiful cloth, and golden gates, and the entire city was perfumed with highly fragrant incense. Please repeat. The great sage Maitreya told Vidura, when the king entered his city, it was very beautifully decorated to receive him with pearls, flower garlands, beautiful cloth, and golden gates. And the entire city was perfumed with highly fragrant incense. Purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Real opulence is supplied by natural gifts such as gold, silver, pearls, valuable stones, fresh flowers, trees, and silken cloth. Thus, the Vedic system recommends opulence and decoration with these natural gifts of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such opulence immediately changes the condition of the mind, and the entire atmosphere becomes spiritualized. King Prithu's capital was decorated with such highly opulent decorations. Maitreya Ubacha Mautikai Kushamas Ragbir Nukulhai Swarnatoranahai Mahasura Bibhir Dupayar Manditam Tatra Tatra. The great sage Maitreya told Vidura, when the king entered his city, it was very beautifully decorated to receive him with pearls, the flower garlands, beautiful cloth, and golden gates. And the entire city was perfumed with highly fragrant incense. Mukum karoti bachalam angam lagayate girim jatkripa tamaham bande Sri Gurum Dinatarinam. So, who amongst us here likes an atmosphere that is surcharged with opulence? Raise your hand. Yes, it is natural. Actually, the real opulences that are being described here in this wonderful verse from Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam is so wonderful. This is not the only place in Bhagavatam we find descriptions of opulence. There's a description of the palace of Kardama Muni, the flying city that he manifested. There's also a very wonderful description in the 10th canto of the city of Dwaraka, Krishna's abode. White cushions like the foam of milk. You can imagine it's better than memory foam. No, no products of oil, no plastics. In modern civilization, everything is just plastic. Originally, in the previous days of yore, even the automobiles had wooden walnut dashboards and armrests and steering wheels, and now everything is plastic, made from oil. That is the Hiranyaksha principle. So what did Hiranyaksha do? He disturbed the balance of the earth by unnecessarily mining and pulling out the resources. So what is the modern civilization doing? Unnecessarily mining, especially oil and gas, the resources of the earth to create an artificial standard of living, but that is actually not beneficent for human society, but rather has so many undesirable consequences. Imbalance in the earth, pollution of the air, pollution of the water. So that is the way of the Kali Yuga. Everything gradually becomes, the qualities of life become deteriorated. And if you think it's bad now, you ain't seen nothing yet. It's going to get far more unfriendly for the natural life of the living entities. So that's all described in the 12th canto. It's a lot of fun to read those verses. And I know when I was a young devotee and first joined, it was almost, devotees would almost relish the oncoming onslaught of Kali Yuga and destruction. They would relish that rasa, just to emphasize the point that the life in the Kali Yuga is so hellish. What to speak of material existence itself? I mean, even in previous ages, like in the Satya Yuga, when the conditions were so nice, the earth would produce food just profusely, and that food was so nutritious and opulent. And simply by taking a little of that, one had strength and health and vital existence. There is also description in the Bhagavatam of the residents of Jambudweep, and they have these giant mango trees that the fruits are so huge, and when they fall down, the juice bursts forth from the fruit and creates this river of mango juice. And there's all this gold and jewels involved in the whole process. And then those residents, they drink that mango juice and they become fully vitalized and strong and powerful and healthy and live long, undisturbed lives. And there's these lotus flowers, and they eat the stems of these nectarian lotus flowers, and it invigorates them in ways that we can hardly imagine. I mean, it is far beyond Jack LaLanne, who was a fitness guru in days of yore, when I was a child. And then later, he was maintaining his fitness by drinking juices. And so he sold the Jack LaLanne juicer. One devotee I know bought the Jack LaLanne juicer and made the juices there. For breakfast, you'd have the infusion of the juices. And there is another thing, that during the Anavasara of Lord Jagannath, when he has his pastime of appearing to catch a cold and be sick, and Lord Jagannath goes into seclusion, the pujaris, Prabhupada describes in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, offer an infusion of fruit juices to Lord Jagannath as a medicinal tonic to ostensibly help the Lord recover, as if the Lord gets sick. But the Lord does not actually get sick, but it is his pastime. And actually he is experiencing a separation. So that is a wonderful thing. So everyone likes this atmosphere of opulence, and everyone wants to live and enjoy in a very opulent way. And people who are very wealthy, they make arrangements like this. Someone was telling me recently about some rich relatives they have, and they have so much money, they just spend money for the heck of it on things they don't even need or want. And they make arrangements for all this opulent enjoyment, but really they're quite bored because they've already got it all. As far as, they have so much money, they just spend it out of boredom and idleness. So that is somewhat a perverted conception. But all money, all opulence, all arrangements for wonderful things should be used in the service of Krishna. That is the real understanding. And sometimes devotees, they want to become renounced, but in an artificial way, not understanding that all opulence it's fine to have it, use it for the service of Krishna. And the Acharya in our Sampradaya, who has instructed us in this principle, is Srila Rupa Goswami from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Anasaktasya Vishayan Yatarhamupayunjitaha Nirbandha Krishna Sambandhe Yuktam Vairagyam Uchate. Real renunciation, Yuktam Vairagyam, what is called Uchate, real renunciation, is where one recognizes that everything belongs to Krishna, but anasaktasya, without being attached to to utilizing it for one's own sense gratification. Nirbandha Krishna Sambandhe. One is not attached to any sense gratification or arrangements for his own personal gratification. But Krishna Sambandhe, seeing Sambandha means relationship, seeing everything in relationship to Krishna. So what if one doesn't see like that and he just wants to renounce everything? Then Rupa Goswami Pad goes on in the next verse. Prapanchikitaya bhuja hari sambandhi bastunaha mumukshubi parityago vairagyam paugu katyate. That renunciation, which doesn't recognize as everything as belonging to Krishna and meant for the utilization in Krishna service, is called immature renunciation or artificial renunciation. I many decades ago, I was on the last bus of the Radha Damodar party, and we had one of the van leaders. There was the bus party and then about 4 vans, and then the bus we would have in a campground, and then every day the brahmacharis would go out in the vans to do book distribution in the parking lots of Kmart's. That was before Walmart. Had you never even heard of Walmart? Kmart, all across the Midwest, and other stores, grocery stores and such things. And one devotee, and sometimes the vans would travel out as satellites from the bus. It was an old General Motors Golden Eagle bus, I believe it was called. A really cool old bus. And the bus was outfitted with a temple room and Gaurnitai deities. Those Gaurnitai deities are now in Gita Nagari on the altar. And then there was a partition, and in the back, there was a kitchen. And our good friend Sunanda Prabhu was the cook. Very expert cook. He became a devotee when he was a mere 16 years old in New York, and was the temple commander in the Brooklyn Temple back when he was quite young. So he was a very expert cook. And so one of the buses, there were 4 buses, I believe, altogether during the heyday. So one of the buses was there in New York, and so they wanted to take Srila Prabhupada to Gitanagari Farm, which is a few hours drive, 4 or 5 hours, something like that, from New York City. So they took Prabhupada on the bus, on the Radha Damodar traveling bus. And so as they're going across Pennsylvania on the Pennsylvania Turnpike, Sunanda cooked for Srila Prabhupada. And I know about this because he told me. He's my good friend, and we were on the bus party together, and we've been friends for many years. So he told me about what happened, his experience cooking for Srila Prabhupada. He made Srila Prabhupada lunch, and then he cooked pakoras, and cauliflower pakoras. They brought the pakoras out to Srila Prabhupada, who was sitting in the temple room in the bus, and they served him, and Prabhupada liked the pakoras, and he asked for more. So Sunanda cooked some more pakoras. Prabhupada kept asking for more. Prabhupada ate 13 pakoras. Just like some of our restaurant customers. All you can eat, right? That's the deal, right? All you can eat. One time, it was a number of years ago when Dr. Gino was still the cashier. And one lady, she liked the pakoras, so she put all these pakoras. She had a paper bag, and she was putting all these pakoras in this paper bag. She was thinking that all you can eat means that all you can take with you. But actually, that is not what all you can eat means. It means all you can eat while you're here in one sitting, and not that all you can eat for lunch and then you hang around for a few hours. Oh, time for dinner. Oh, I can eat some more. That's not how it works. That's an abuse. Some people have that, mentality, greed, lust, anger, greed, madness, illusion, and envy are the 6 enemies of the conditioned soul. So she had put a big pile of pakoras in the bag. And so Gina went over to her very politely. What do you plan to do with all those pakoras? She said, I'm going to take them home. And he says, you cannot do that. It's all you can eat while you're here. And he picked up the bag and he took the pakoras away. I don't know if she ever came back, but if she wanted to take all the pakoras home, then she's not entitled. There's a certain etiquette of good behavior that's required in coming to an all-you-can-eat restaurant. Not that you put all this stuff on your plate and then you throw it away. Anyway, not everyone gets it. But so anyway, Srila Prabhupada, he ate those 13 pakoras, which is just astounding. At the time, he would have been, it would have been 76, I believe. So he would have been, 80 years old, eating 13 pakoras. Something a young man can do without any difficulty. So then after Srila Prabhupada finished taking prasadam, then they brought Sunanda out, because he was in the back in the kitchen. And they said, Srila Prabhupada, this is Sunanda. He is the boy who has cooked lunch for you. And he made all those nice pakoras. Prabhupada looked at Sunanda, and he had this big smile on his face, and he said, very good boy. And Sunanda has described that this is the perfection. This moment, he had achieved the perfection of his life, because he had pleased Srila Prabhupada, and Srila Prabhupada had blessed him. Very good boy. Such simple language, but such wonderful meaning. And so that exchange with Srila Prabhupada is something that no doubt has sustained him through many decades of devotional service. Srila Prabhupada having disappeared from this world in 1977. So some, 40, whatever it is, 7 years ago. That's a long time. I remember. So I so much appreciate Sunanda, who's now like, he's the sort of the America's liaison for the Temple of the Vedic Planetarium. He's their representative, and he assists in fundraising and things like that. The last time we saw him was in the last El Paso Rath Yatra. He came and he was giving out these silk garlands from Lord Nrsingadev in Mayapur to all the devotees. I still have mine. I wear it sometimes in the mornings. So I believe he lives somewhere in the San Francisco area. So just by that, serving Srila Prabhupada and pleasing Srila Prabhupada, then he's achieving perfection in this human life. And of course, he's a lifelong, since age 16, a adherent to the tenets and principles of Krishna consciousness and a practicing devotee. So there's no doubt that such a devotee will go back home, back to Godhead at the end of this life. I know one devotee who, he had gone to Mayapur and then he became ill with some kind of leukemia or cancer or something. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I knew him in Atlanta. He was a book distributor. And then he left his body under very auspicious surroundings in Mayapur, devotees chanting and remembering Krishna. And no one had any doubt that he must have gone back home, back to Godhead, because of his absorption in Krishna consciousness, his selfless, intense service of book distribution. And then someone was lamenting, oh, he has left our association. And then I told him, well, you know, he cheated us because he went back home to Godhead and we're still here. We're lamenting about him passing away. He cheated us. He just went back home, back to Godhead. And here we are still struggling with the mind and the senses and all of our little petty problems and little mental trips and physical ailments and all the things we struggle with. Struggle. That's the character or characterization of our existence. Having taken shelter of the material energy, we just struggle because Maya just puts her foot on our head and squashes us down. And we're overcome and overwhelmed by the illusory energy. And we're struggling. Why are we struggling? Because we don't like it one damn bit. We don't like being under Maya's control. And as Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, and I'm often fond of quoting, that in the voice of Lord Chaitanya in the Arunodaya Kirtan, that this life is temporary and full of various kinds of miseries, which is the same thing Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Dukalayam ashashvatam, dukadoshana darshanam. Or as they say in the popular vernacular, life's a bitch and then you die. Thanks, Allah. There's got to be more than that. There's got to be some type of happiness and satisfaction that I can actually achieve. And that would be the real goal of my life. As we quoted previously, John Lennon, I give you everything I got for a little peace of mind. Something he did not have and could not achieve, although he tried. But just like Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that Ajantya Vedi Purvakam, those who worship the demigods, they actually should be worshiping Krishna, but their worshiping is avidipurvakam. It's done in the wrong way. So everyone who's trying to achieve happiness, which is everyone in the material energy, wants to achieve happiness, but they've adopted the wrong method to achieve that. Avidipurvakam. It's not the right procedure. It's unscientific. And we can say with great alacrity, it's guaranteed to fail. You will not get your goal of happiness if you are continuing on in the bodily concept of life and thinking that sense gratification is the means to the end. Although, keep pursuing sense gratification, and the end will come. Just not the end you want. But then it will continue after you meet your end. As they say, you meet, the common expression is when you leave this body, you meet your maker. It's supposed to mean you see God. But what you see is the Yamadutas and Yamaraj. And then the suffering continues, just in a different circumstance. So better to adopt the real scientific process, not avidipurvakam, not doing things in the wrong way, but doing the correct procedure to attain real happiness. Which again, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, why do you spend your days and your nights uselessly decorating this temporary body and trying to enjoy? Why don't you worship the Lord of the heart and chant the holy names? So this chanting of the holy names is really the magic panacea for the conditioned souls. And it's the prescribed method for achieving perfection in this fallen age. And it's so wonderful that even though Kaler Doshnid Hey Rajan, that this Kali is an ocean of faults. Doshnid Hey. It's an ocean, but not like the kind of ocean you want to swim in, have fun at the beach, because it's an ocean of faults. Everything's just messed up beyond what's reasonable. But Asteko Mahan Guna. There's a great thing, the greatest of all things, the greatest of all qualities is that Kirtanad, Eva Krishnasya, Mukta Sangha Param Brajet. You can go back to Godhead just by engaging and chanting the holy names. So chanting the holy names is the nuclear powerhouse of energy that propels us back home, back to Godhead. And just by chanting Hare Krishna, one can become elevated to the platform of Krishna Prema, pure love of Krishna. Anyabhilashita shunyam jnana karmadinavritam anukulena krishnanu shilanim bhakti uttama. That pure love of Krishna is characterized by freedom from jnana and karma. Jnana karma anabrita. In practicing bhakti, then one gives up trying to enjoy fruitive activities or good results. Hard to imagine. We always want a good result from what we do. But the real result of all our actions in bhakti is to deepen and increase our love for and service to Lord Krishna. Therefore, I strongly advise everyone not to break your arm and interfere with your service to Krishna. And that was my wish all along for myself, but somehow or other, Krishna wanted to teach me some lessons. And Krishna teaches us lessons in a different way. They have some wrestling show on TV called a Smackdown, right? So sometimes Krishna smacks us down. Sometimes that lotus foot, that beautiful lotus foot of Krishna comes down on our head. And we're like, Krishna, why are you doing this to me? Anytime anyone suffers, if they're a little pious, God, why are you making me suffer? Is that what it takes for you to say God, to remember God? Yes. Because otherwise I'm just kind of going along thinking everything's groovy. But as long as we're in this material world, we will suffer in various ways. But Bhagavatam gives us the answer and the hope in the 10th canto. Tate nukampam shukshamikshamano bunjana evatma kritam vapakam ridvag vapurvir viridhan namaste jiveta yo mukti pade sadhayabak. That one who is a devotee of Krishna, aspiring to serve Krishna, goes on patiently while in this world, suffering what appears to be the reactions of his previous misdeeds. I mean, if I became a devotee yesterday, well, what about all those before that? Or if I became a devotee in this life, well, what about those previous lifetimes? Is that all finished? Ahang tong sarve papebyo mokshayi shamima suchaha. Well, slow down, bro. Don't try to take advantage and think it's going to be so easy that now I'm light as a feather and I can just float through this material world enjoying a very high standard and Krishna will take me. No, you go on patiently suffering. You know you have so many past misdeeds and so many reactions that have already been manifest and that are lying like seeds in the heart, waiting to be manifest and will become manifest. That's explained as parabdha and aparabdha karma. There's karma which is already manifest, but then there's a whole stock, a whole warehouse full of stuff that you are carrying and it will become manifest. But Krishna is so kind is that he minimizes those reactions and just gives a little bit. For example, the broken arm. Well, the broken arm should have been like, head chopped off or something. But that was mitigated and the life is extended. Okay, here's a little suffering. Utilize that suffering to get some realization. Of course, one realization I have is that I sure do miss using my right arm for everything. And yesterday, our friend Murli Prabhu, who amazingly, intrinsically, and instinctively has understood the concept of seva, of bhakti, even though he is coming from the impersonalist guru and tradition, yet he is doing so much wonderful service. We are over there at the house on Tyndall, which was so generously donated to the temple by our own Durla Badarshan Prabhu. Thank you very much. I told Ganga, every day of my life I thank Durla Badarshan because I'm living in the property that he has so kindly donated out of his bhakti to serve the temple. This concept of service is wonderful. So Murli was going on the roof to try to patch up one little place where a skylight is leaking in the bathroom. And he was saying, well, where is exactly? I said, well, let me just come up on the roof. So I climbed up on the ladder and sort of managed to get up on the roof. And then I thought of it, I said, this was probably not a good idea because now I have to get down. I mean, once you're up here, you're good. But then you got to come down and you can't use this hand to support yourself. Uh-oh. But anyway, we managed. But the amazing thing was, as it turns out, Murley is just on the cusp of his 76th birthday. You got the 76-year-old man up on the roof. You know about ladders, right? You just had an experience with the ladder. The 76-year-old man is up on the roof, and the man with the broken arm is scrambling up behind him. What the heck? Where are the young guys? But there's so much to do, and then even we're not fit, still we want to serve. Even though we're actually not physically fit to do the service, so still we try to do it. And then sometimes we ask the young fellows, Prabhu, can you do this? Please assist me. Like, people put up the umbrellas at lunchtime, and then we like to take them down in the evening, especially when the wind comes up and there's no need for them to be up in the evening. But I find that I can't tie, they have a little string to tie them off. I can't tie that. You try it with one hand, try to tie your shoes with one hand. Yeah, it doesn't work. So, therefore, if I ask some of these young bucks to tie the umbrellas or carry the box. Yesterday, that Bhakti Calvin and his brother, the Chinese fellows from Orlando, they were standing and talking with you, and I asked them, can you please carry these boxes? They're boxes of Dixie bowls for the restaurant. Can you carry them over to this side? They were on the front porch there. Normally I would just do it, but it's like, try picking up a box with one hand. There's no handle. It doesn't work. So at least now I'm trying that I can just point. Hey, can you do that? Even if it's all the right hand can do. So, in conclusion, we can say that even though so much natural opulence is nice, but there's a higher stage of worship of God beyond opulence and on reverence. And that is the pure love of the residents of Vrindavan, whose concept of love of Krishna is devoid of the on reverence of the residents of Vaikuntha, or like in Dwarka, or in Ajodhya, where they're just opening a new temple for Lord Rama Chandra. So there's another kind of opulence beyond the marble and the gold, and that's the natural opulence of Vrindavan, which is fruits and flowers and the birds. They have so many birds, species of birds, at least traditionally there were, but they're probably less now due to overpopulation, crowding, industrialization, cars, and things in Vrindavan. But that was the natural opulence where Krishna enjoys his intimate Leela with the gopis and the cowherd boys and his friends and his parents. That natural atmosphere. And Ratha Yatra is Radharani saying to Krishna, there's too many horses and chariots and soldiers and noise and stuff here in Kurukshetra. I want to take you back home to Vrindavan, where you play your flute under the tree on the bank of the Jamuna. So we'll stop here and ask for any questions, comments, or realizations. Chandrika.
So you were talking about your, so I was thinking about.
Trying to use a broken arm on the surface.
I was thinking
a little philosophy.
How.
Sorry about that, folks.
So how we, once we become a devotee and doing devotional service, that's the only thing that really makes us happy, is really doing devotional service. That's the happiness that we feel inside. If we're doing something that's not devotional service, we feel like, oh, I don't really want to do this. So if you're...
Well, if we're advanced, we may feel that. If we're not advanced and we do something not devotional, we go, hey, cool. But we shouldn't think like that.
Right. So, obviously with Krishna's home that we're opening, we're going to have, 10 people that are incapacitated in some way or another. But they will, as devotees, obviously will still have that desire to do devotional service, because that's what's going to give them some happiness. So just having that realization of like, we're going to be, engaging them in devotional service to the capacity that they can. And so I think that's really important for a devotee to find
it's
some way
essential.
to have that.
And especially, I think, when one is in the condition of old age and disease and debilitation, something one can always do is hear and chant. And that atmosphere of hearing and chanting creates auspiciousness. So that should be a key to the residents of the home, is that there's an atmosphere of hearing and chanting. Japa, kirtan, if they can read, or if someone can read, or you can play out loud, lectures, or things like that. So that's it. Hearing and chanting one can do even immobilized.
Right.
And as long as one's ears are working, one can always hear. Someone else can chant. Kirtaneshwar.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhu. Nice to have you back. I just want to share two things. You were speaking about prarabdha, aparabdha karma. And, like devotees ask that question a lot, like Krishna says, if you surrender to me, then I will, destroy all your sinful activities. So how come if I'm surrendered, why am I still suffering? So one of our acharyas...
Did Krishna say he was going to do it like in tomorrow?
Yeah, one of our acharyas, either Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur or Jiva Goswami, I'm not sure, I can't remember which one, in commenting upon the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, explains that, gives the analogy that the actual destruction of the sins, because it says that all your sins are relieved immediately in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. But they say, well, why isn't it? So he gives the analogy that if you have a stack of leaves and you have a pin and you drop the pin through the stack of leaves, it appears that the pin went through instantly, but when you slow it down, it's going through each leaf. And so it's described that when you're taking, trillions and trillions of lifetimes of sinful activity, and they can be actually destroyed in one life, from the perspective of eternity, that's so instantaneous that devotional service is the only process that can do that. But even in that sense, our prarabdha karma, or our body, we still have to deal with that. We can't just, commit suicide. So
Prabhupada gives the example of the fan.
Oh, yeah.
So the fan is plugged into the wall, it's turning. You pull the plug, but the fan doesn't jam on the brakes. There is still some energy there, and it's still revolving. If you have a really good fan with really good ball bearings, it'll run for a long time. If you have a cheap plastic fan from Amazon, it won't go very long. But the energy is, there's some momentum.
Yeah.
And it has to, use up the momentum. So there's a little momentum, considering how vast is our reservoir. And one lifetime, in terms of cosmic time, that's a flash. So it is right away. But it doesn't seem like that to us if we are suffering something. Well, why am I getting sick? Why am I suffering in this way? Why is my mind doing this? Why am I attracted to sense gratification and all these other things? But it will be taken care of, but you have to stay the course. And don't plug the plug back in. Yes.
So sometimes we ask when bad things happen to us, why me? And my response is always, why not me? And I forget, I speak for myself, I forget to be grateful sometimes, to say, wow, I can walk, I can talk, I can breathe without pain, I can hear, my ears don't hurt, what doesn't hurt, and to remember great gratitude, the intense gratitude when something doesn't hurt, instead of, I focus sometimes on what does hurt. That's the immediate thing. Oh, my foot hurts. And suddenly we can't think of anything but the foot or the leg or the knee. And suddenly it doesn't. And then this gratitude of, wow, I can walk. It's just amazing to me to feel gratitude when it's over. And also I feel like sometimes when these bad things happen to me, I kind of have to meditate a little and figure out what did I do? I feel like we're burning off karma, or I'm burning off some karma or something when this happens. What did I do that created this reaction? And it puts me in a state of kind of meditation to realize that I just burned off some karma because I'm in extreme pain over something,
What a devotee does is a devotee understands philosophically what's going on, and then purifies themselves through hearing and chanting and associating with devotees and all the processes of bhakti. And then one gains a deeper understanding of what is happening to oneself, what's going on. And then one takes shelter of Krishna and utilizes Hridvag Vapurvir, his body, mind, and words in the service of Krishna. And then Jiveta Yomukti Pade Sadayabak, one earns the right to go back home, back to Godhead, for it has become, Prabhupada says, his rightful claim, because he patiently endures all the suffering. Understanding, I'm not this body, but let me use this body, mind and words, whatever material resources are within my purview, to serve Krishna. And then Krishna is very pleased with such a devotee, and he takes him away. So we know that Krishna, he will take us away from all this. But we have to patiently go on with the body, mind, and words, always engaged in the service of Krishna. All right, so we're past our time. Thank you all very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.